Hello and welcome to coverage of Grand Prix Indianapolis. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Eric Froelich. We have reached the last round of Swiss here on day one, Eric, and we've got two of our undefeated players. Luis Scott-Vargas, the Hall of Famer, sitting with Dark Jeskai. He's facing down Andrew Cuneo, who's playing kind of his own take on Esper control here.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew Cuneo, a man who needs no introduction. One of the best players in the world, one of the most consistent players in the world, has been around for decades. Typically plays the more control decks. This is no win condition Esper, as we've talked about earlier. Of course, he was the man behind the Sphinx's Tutelage deck and debuted that at the Pro Tour.
You mean the Grand Prix winning Sphinx's Tutelage deck?
Eventually, but he debuted it at the Pro Tour. And Luis Scott-Vargas is an up-and-coming magician. He's put up a few results here and there, but nothing to speak of since most of our viewers have been alive.
Nothing that's really impressed you.
Oh, what have you done for me lately?
Right.
What I always say.
That is how that
It's
works.
also what you always say. It's what we should always say.
So Luis is on Dark Jeskai here. And you see he immediately gets rid of a Fiery Impulse. Generally not good against control decks, but they've been given this little opening of like, well, you can usually kill a Jace with it, but not so against Andrew.
Yeah, Andrew's deck just, again, no win condition Jeskai. Doesn't do too much against him.
Yeah, no Jaces in Andrew's deck here. So
Luis really struggling on this lands. He keeps drawing polluted deltas, which are, you know, at least at this point can fetch him another color, but he still can't.
He's got what, 2 Manus Riders in his hand just sitting there?
Yeah, he's got Crackling Doom and such, and the island is just kind of impeding his progress.
Pretty aggressive quarantine field there from Cuneo, but we've seen him show huge respect to Jace Vryn's Prodigy, doing anything he can do to keep it from transforming. It must be a massive problem once transformed. We even saw him cash in an Ob Nixilis reignited that was on 3, and he was like, yeah, I can't do it, and just killed the Jace.
Yeah, I was watching that game from the feature match area live, and I didn't actually agree with that play, but it shows, you know, Andrew's played this deck, and that's what he, you know, thought was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
It speaks volumes.
Yeah, and I mean, I haven't played with his deck, so I don't really know, you know, strategically if it's correct or not, but it just showed me from his perspective, he really puts a ton of emphasis on not letting Jace get transformed.
Yeah, I mean, Jace is the best card in Standard. It's not too illogical.
All right,
And
well, these
game
mana
is
problems from
almost
Luis have
over now.
really ran away from him, yeah.
When you get your Jace dismissed, it is a bad feeling.
And here's Dig Through Time. And Luis sitting there with black and red mana available can do nothing but say, yeah, you did it.
Look like Cuneo took lands.
He did. He took a Shambling Vents. Good old Andrew Cuneo. He wasn't going to pass a turn without hitting a land drop. That's just not how he rolls. Well, the good news for Luis with all this looting and fetch lands is that he has filled up his graveyard, which is going to mean he can dig through time for a couple of lands here. I mean, he's got, what, 5 or 6 spells in his hand?
Yeah.
It's like 6.
I mean, when your Dig Through Time is forced to try to get you lands, which also won't allow you to cast spells in this turn, and your opponent just casts their own Dig Through Time and is well ahead on basically all resources, things are pretty grim. Also, doesn't actually look like he hit.
Come on.
I don't think he hit a white land. Did he? Was there not a fetch land? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, just missed.
He is just getting savaged here. By this is weird, too, because this Jeskai deck, yeah, you'd think it might have a shaky mana base given that it's 4 colors, but it actually comes together reasonably well. Not like this. He does find a land off the top, though, a Flooded Strand, which is going to give him white mana. But right now, Andrew has settled firmly into the draw-go phase of the game here. He's sitting on, what, 7 cards in hand?
Yeah, this is where
no
win
way.
condition Esper really pushes the no win conditions and
really
emphasizes the sitting here.
But, you know, you actually bring up an important point about the way that Andrew's constructed this deck, right?
Yes.
Is that everything he has in his hand is an answer then. He's sitting on 7 answer cards or 6 answer cards in hand, where normally you'd say maybe one of those is an Ugin or something that he's going to wait on for a while that doesn't actually do anything. But, I mean, Luis knows he needs to slog through literally every card in Andrew's hand.
Which sounds really desperate and like there's not a lot of hope, but Luis has a little bit better chance than you might think, just because the answers that Andrew have are typically all 1-for-1s. Now, this one's a little bit better than a 1-for-1, but a lot of his answers are of like the stasis snare variety, where he's looking to kill a creature, and Ojutai's command and Kolagon's command could potentially put Luis ahead on cards a little bit to try to catch up in this game. So this is not over. Well, you might, generally think it is. Not having a lot of counter magic and abilities to kind of shut off the 2-for-1s means that, Andrew's got to have his own 2-for-1s to equal the card advantage that Luis is going to present in the middle of the game now that he has his mana.
So Mana Strider does stick. That was the second one of the turn, but it's going to get killed by, well, Planar Outburst in this case. As you can see, Andrew can just sort of throw whatever 1-for-1s he needs to at Luis, even if it is a sweeper spell. And it looks like Kolagon's command is going to get negated. That's an important one for Cuneo. That's just one of the 2-for-1s that Luis Scott-Vargas has available to him at this stage in the game. So using a negate on that is certainly acceptable to Andrew.
Huge issue that Luis has here is that he just can't really afford to be drawing bad cards. Like, he's got a lot of good cards that's going to be tougher for Andrew to answer, but his hand has 3 Crackling Dooms, which are just effectively dead. I mean, they can kill Shambling Event potentially, but this Narset's just going to ultimate. It's going to have an emblem, and the Crackling Dooms will just not do anything. So Luis is going to have to end up using Crackling Dooms to just do 2 damage to Narset in the not too distant future, and those are not really cards. I mean, Andrew's drawing extra cards off of Narset already, and having to trade, your cards in hand for just loyalty counters on Narset that don't even kill it. And Luis is going to draw some lands and some other bad cards as well. It's just, that's where the game gets put away.
Yeah, and I did just we've seen Narset a little bit here. We saw Shaheen Sarani plays in Narset, and Andrew also plays Narset. But the really crazy thing about Andrew's list is that being creatureless means he's going to more consistently draw cards off of Narset than any other deck in the room, basically.
It's true. He reveals Scatter, and that it will do it.
Yeah, Luis has seen enough. Yeah, he just never could get his footing after missing those land drops early. He has a laugh with Andrew, their friends, but he's going to have to do some work post-sideboard here. Has Andrew found the answer to the Dark Jeskai deck? We've seen him kind of beat it up in the feature match area so far today.
I would be very happy to play Andrew's deck against Jeskai all day. This is
you would be on the Jeskai side or on the...
I would be on Andrew's side with his Esper deck. I think his particular Esper deck, with so much removal and so much ability to pull ahead, with planeswalkers like Narset that are not easy for Jeskai to deal with, I think it's where you want to be for that matchup. It's as close to exactly what I want against Jeskai as I can come up with. So I really like what Andrew's done here. Huey Jensen played the deck as well. He said he loved the Jeskai matchup, just things didn't really go well for him in this tournament.
Okay, so let's jump in over on our back table match where we have Jacob Wilson battling against Brock Parker. Do you know Brock? Have you been acquainted with Brock? No, haven't heard of him before? You were never his roommate, right?
Oh yeah, he lives in my house.
Oh, right.
We don't interact, though.
The bearded terror. Oh, you just walk by each other in the hallway.
Occasionally.
So it looks like Brock has decided to pick up Dark Jeskai for this tournament here himself.
Yeah, these were the only cards I had available to loan.
Is this your Canadian Highlander deck?
The Jaces are.
Part of it. So Brock is going to Crackling Doom to get rid of Tasigur. As we come in here, so we see Mana Strider. Oh, geez, a Jace and a Tasigur was on the battlefield for Jacob. So Brock is in cleanup mode here, trying to figure out a way to get back from being what looks like he was really far behind. Getting rid of Tasigur is a nice start, though. But now we're going to have transformed Jace.
Yeah, we've hit the phase of the game where there's basically no return. Brock buried in life total and buried on the board. Jacob's still with a full hand. He's got an active Jace, and you got to find an answer to the Jace in the Mantis Rider. And with Jace at 6, it's just not really realistic. I guess an utter end into like a Fiery Impulse would be the best you can do, but it doesn't look like Brock has much of anything going on.
Yeah, it sure doesn't. And there's a Soulfire Grandmaster now for Jacob.
Yeah, his mana not really cooperating. Being able to actually cast a Kolagon's command last turn to go along with Crackling Doom would have worked out pretty well for him. It at least would have taken down the Jace before it flipped and maybe brought back a creature. We can't see the graveyard, but
does the Bloodstained Mire change anything now?
It's just too late.
It's too late, right? Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
The Jace is flipped, and you just can't really do anything because your Mana Striders can't even trade if Jacob doesn't want to. He can just plus the Jace, keep the Mana Strider small, and attack right into it. He can minus the Jace. He's got an Utter End just sitting there on top of the graveyard. So everything going his way right now, and Fiery Impulse is 3 extra life as well, and Brock's just going to give this one up.
Yeah, he has seen enough indeed. And that'll do it for game 1 for those two gentlemen. They're going to go to sideboards. Looks like we're already underway here on our main match.
That was quick. They are not messing around.
No, they are not. So let's get in here and see what's going on. It looks like Luis kicked things off with Soulfire Grandmaster. And Andrew has played Shambling Vent into Polluted Delta and just passed the turn back to Luis, who's, well, he's got himself a Soulfire Grandmaster. It didn't get Silk Wrapped.
Yeah, it just also doesn't do much. Like, I don't think Cuneo is too concerned about a Soulfire Grandmaster. It's probably one of the weakest cards in this matchup. The card that Luis really wants to find after sideboard is going to be Philidar Cub. That card does a lot of work against the Silk Wraps and Quarantine Fields and Stasis Snares, and of course being able to bring it back with Ojutai's command and Kolagon's command is really big. Of course, Luis, after sideboarding, we did a deck tech on him. He's got a Painful Truth, a great way to get ahead on cards. 2 copies of Disdainful Stroke. He's got, let's see, the Philidar Cub, Dispel, a Duress, and he may even bring in Tragic Arrogance, strangely enough, in this matchup just because there's so many enchantments. I'm not sure if he actually would do that. It's kind of a clunky card that isn't too strong, but
hard to resolve.
It at least is an option when you're playing against a deck that just has tons of enchantment removal.
And we've seen that too. I mean, we've come in and watched some of Andrew's matches, and we've seen 4, maybe 5 enchantments sitting on, and they've all got something locked underneath them.
Well, yeah, he's got 10 enchantments main deck that are just removal spells. So one copy of Tragic Arrogance, if you're able to resolve it, may just free up multiple Mantis Riders that went on the spot.
Quarantine Field. Is that card impressed you? Do you think that it makes the cut for standard easily? Is it a close call?
It hasn't impressed me too much.
It's a little clunky.
Yeah, it's kind of just the Silence the Believers of the set, though. Like, this deck is just kind of sitting around and trading early removal 1 for 1, and the fact that you can play this on 4 as a removal spell is nice utility. But this is not sorcery speed. Utter End is not where you want to be, but 6 mana kill 2 things. Well, now we're talking.
Now that's
and once you get even later in the game, it can do a lot.
And I guess it's there because Andrew can use it to kill problematic permanents like Planeswalkers and such.
Well, yeah, he already has the full 4 Stasis Snare, full 4 Silk Wraps. There's no more enchantment removal spell available to him. And I believe he's got just 1 copy of Utter End, 1 copy of Silungar's command. So not a lot of ways to deal with Planeswalkers. And
so Luis is playing the tempo game here, Fro. He actually used Disdainful Stroke on the Quarantine Field, and he's keeping the beats flowing here. Wow, he must have some type of counterspell up, though, right? Because he's got to think that Andrew could be going for a Wrath effect here.
Yep.
And there it is. Negate is the game. So Luis Scott-Vargas gets out to a quick start and protects it, and that's it.
Yeah, that's just something the Jeskai deck has available to it, that you can play 2-drop into Mantis Rider, and that's going to end a lot of games. Those are things that need to be answered immediately, and once the Jeskai deck untaps and you just have Negates and Disdainful Strokes and Dispel and Duress, and that's a lot of things to get through, and it's a fast clock. It's 5 damage on turn 3 and 5 more each turn afterwards. So
yeah, that was impressive.
It's definitely no joke, and the fact that the Jeskai deck can do all these things while also in the mid-game casting powerful commands, and in the late game just going Tassigers and Ojutai's commands to bring back a creature and counter a creature. Just so many good things going on, which is why the Jeskai deck is so versatile.
Yeah.
they're ready to go 15 seconds after the game's over.
There. I mean, that game was so fast. It was.
I don't think we have time to even watch a turn of this one before the other one.
Yeah, the other one will start up. We'll jump back over. Maybe there's a mulligan or something, right?
Never. These two do not mulligan.
Oh, come on.
No, they're the 2 luckiest mages in the entire room. They're 8-0. You don't.
Let's jump over. It looks like you were right, Eric. They did not mulligan.
They're already on turn 5.
Yeah. Luis has him down to 10. All right. Well,
was that the Tragic Arrogance? Looks right in the middle. 4th card.
I can't quite see. Oh, it does look like it. Yeah.
It looks like it to me.
Andrew Cuneo.
That is right.
Is on the play this time. Would have been a lot different if he was on the play last time. I mean, that game was Soulfire Grandmaster, Mantis Rider, Negate, Disdainful Stroke, GG.
Completely different game.
So this will be interesting to see if it plays out.
Yeah, Quarantine Field would get to come down before mana's up to stop it. And the Soulfire Grandmaster just not a fast enough clock.
Right.
Now we'll see if Andrew has an answer to Jace. He's got lots in his deck, but you need to have one right away. Yeah, I did see a Tragic Arrogance. So if Luis is able to actually run out these creatures and set up a Tragic Arrogance in the face of Silk Wraps, then maybe able to come back from a pretty bad position. It's going to be Silk Wrap number 1.
So Luis kind of rubs his hands together and like, you are falling right into my trap.
Well, he hopes. The problem is Tragic Arrogance costs 5 mana, and Andrew's got plenty of counter magic. And if you're just going to cast a bunch of Silk Wraps, then you're kind of walking right into being able to have mana open because they're so cheap and potentially be able to counter it.
This is a nice little start here for Luis, though. Jace into Mantis Rider. Sure, the Jace got answered, but
yeah, and he drew another Jace. He's got a dig in hand. One of the nice things about these enchantment removal spells that Andrew's playing is that cards don't go to the graveyard, so there's a dig through time in Luis's hand. He's not even close to being able to cast it. This, usually your Jaces get killed and you're able to Ojutize command them, Kolaghan's command them. If you don't need them, you can delve them away with Dig Through Time or Tassiger, but not here.
Yeah, that has hit a nice little chord with these enchantment removal.
Ooh,
there's a Felidar Cub off the top. So Mantis Rider's going to hit the red zone here and drop Andrew down to 12. And that is one of the other X factors that you see is that it's just easy to forget that Mantis Rider is such a fast clock. I mean, Andrew has to juggle dealing with everything here, but he's already down to 12 life even after having dealt with a few threats here. So
yeah, I mean, the rule of thumb used to be get in one hit with Mantis Rider and kind of off to the races, and the deck had so much burn. Not the same now, but there is so much utility and actually a fair amount of incidental burn with things like Kolaghan's Command and Crackling Doom. Not their main function to burn someone out, but certainly have the ability to do so. Now, Luis is going to lead on Jace without playing a land. He's got Cub in hand, so he wouldn't mind this thing being countered and just being able to land a Cub, which can just turn into a can kill the Silk Wrap and turn into a Jace at a moment's notice.
And it's almost better for him because now Jace is in the yard and next turn he gets to flip the Jace.
Absolutely.
Oh, geez, look at this.
So Cuneo's got an Ob Nixilis in hand, which can come down and take out the Mantis Rider, but Luis can actually leave the Cub around to kill the Ob Nixilis if he wants to. It's actually a 2-power creature, so pretty nice utility there.
Now, he would not be able then to get Jace active on his turn, right?
Not on his turn,
but still, killing an Ob Nixilis is a big deal, yeah.
I don't know what else Andrew has, but I did see an Ob Nixilis.
This has been a fun game.
It's been a good match. Despite the fact it feels like it's kind of just started because they're playing so insanely fast.
Yes, they are.
But we've played a lot of turns.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, that first game went on very long. Luis didn't cast that many spells.
No, a little bit of a mana stumble. But
yeah. And then in game 2, Andrew just kind of got shut out. And there it is. Ob Nixilis reignited. And yeah, you predicted this. Now the Felidar Cub gets to kill Ob Nixilis. This is
and an Utter End off the top. So a lot of good utility spells. The Tragic Arrogance still sitting there, although it really doesn't look good right now.
No, it doesn't. Maybe that's his big finish. Is this Dig?
Yeah, looks like he's going to start on Dig. It's a good place to be.
Yeah, he gets to start out with the Dig through time, and he still has Felidar Cub up to kill Ob Nixilis here.
Duress is super powerful in this matchup. Just 1 mana being able to take your opponent's best card is huge against a deck that has no creatures. You're just taking whatever their best card is every time, and that's often going to be a Dig or a Planeswalker, and for 1 mana, that's just really good.
The problem is that you can't take a win condition because there are none.
Ob Nixilis is a win condition, although we're going to deal with it pretty quickly.
You told me it was win conditionless Esper.
Yeah, well, he's 8-0, so it must have some win condition somewhere.
I just figure everybody
we just can't really
up.
tell.
I figure they just gave up. All right, he's going to nab a Dig Through Time here. Wow, and kill Ob Nixilis. So really nice sequence there for Luis Scott-Vargas. What can Andrew do to come up with some way to combat this? Tell you what, Island's not the answer.
Well, he's going to get to free up his Jace right now, too, so everything looking great for Luis.
Is he going to
see if he does it?
Now, will he do it now? That would give him the 3rd card in the graveyard. But he'd rather set that up rather than just have a Cub, right?
Well, it is 2 damage.
Yeah.
You're basically just deciding whether you want the loot or the 2 damage.
Ooh, fetch land would be a thing here.
He doesn't need it to be turned on. He's very happy having a looter because I don't think Andrew has a removal spell. He knows negate. He doesn't know the last card, but
Good
actually
point.
Andrew drew Prairie Stream. So we've seen Luis intentionally try to keep Jace on.
He wants
to
the arrogance, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's just not really where he needs right now. There's no enchantments in play whatsoever, and there's a Cub in the graveyard with lots of ways in his deck to get it back, although I'm not sure if he has any in his hand. I didn't see what he drew. No, an Ojedice command, so more ways to get that back too. Another land for Andrew.
Yeah, Shambling Vents off the top is not going to get it done. And as we mentioned earlier, you know, the door closes quickly with the Mana Strider on the table. Andrew is now going to be facing down Jace Telepath Unbound, plus he's going to be at 10 with the Mana Strider on the table. It was Kolagon's command?
That was Kolagon's command. What he can do now, he can actually empty Andrew's hand if he wants to. He can flash back the duress. He knows about negate. He drew Kolagon's command, which is pretty strong. Oh, he does not have another black. Okay, so he can't do that this turn. He discarded the Bloodstained Mire.
And that got negated.
Right, no reason not to. Andrew knows that he's going to take negate. He doesn't have another spell, so might as well cast negate and not give him the information.
Go ahead.
Is that another Obnixilis? No.
Is this Narset? It is Narset.
All right, this is
now
actually not fantastic.
I mean, is he going to utter-end it? Or?
Well, he doesn't have black mana this turn.
Right.
All right, that's a good hit.
Ooh, this is getting interesting.
Now, Luis would love for him to just, you know, lay out the Stasis Snare. What he gets to do now is cast Ojedice command, bring back the Cub, draw a card.
Oh, God.
Make that Stasis Snare into, you know, a much more mediocre removal spell and continue to press his advantage with Jason and Mana Strider.
So this is upkeep he's doing
upkeep
this?
Stasis Snare. This is smart.
Is there a way that he can interact in combat with the Mana Strider to save 3 damage?
He could.
Huh. He didn't want to let him have that that draw step, though.
Yeah.
He's going to take extra damage as a result, though.
He takes 1 extra point of damage.
Yeah.
But
I don't know if that matters in this match, but
yeah, it certainly could.
Geez, double Mana Strider. Well, it's not going to matter with the clock that's on currently.
This game is actually over. I don't think there's any outs for Andrew, although I thought Luis had Kolagon's command. He could have cast Kolagon's command and taken the last card out of Andrew's hand, and also had a lethal threat in his graveyard for Jace, which I don't think there are any outs to 2 Mana Striders and a lethal Jace.
Yeah, even with Narset, right? He just gets one pull at 1 card. Now,
I guess he has Shambling Vents, so he would not have actually been in lethal, although Chump attacking with Shambling Vents is a pretty good place to be.
He also has to tap out completely to do that and hit a land. This is a tough spot for Cuneo. He wants to stay undefeated, but he has drawn Luis Scott-Vargas, who kind of flew out here last minute-ish. You know, he wasn't planning on it last week, and he's decided, you know what, we're doing it. I'm going to go play
he's
a GP.
Doing the double Chump attack.
I mean,
desperate times.
I suppose so.
He's taking a point of damage to do it, too. And Kolagon's command ends the game.
And Kolagon's command ends the game. Luis Scott-Vargas, everybody, 9-0 after day 1 with Dark Jeskai. Andrew Cuneo is going to have to settle for an 8-1, but still a great start for Andrew. We will certainly be seeing both of these 2 gentlemen tomorrow in the feature match area. I can guarantee you that. But we've got an undefeated player. It's LSV. Let's jump back to Jacob Wilson versus Brock Parker. Are things going better for Brock or worse for Brock this time?
Well, we can't see his graveyard, so
well, I see a wrong sleeve on a Mana Strider, which means it got stolen.
Yeah, that's not where you want to be.
Influence was exerted on that Mana Strider by Jacob Wilson.
So Brock had a Mana Strider and a Jace, which is a good place to be, but he was pretty far behind in the life total, which is a little bit surprising looking at this board. But, well, I guess he just took 6.
He just took 6. He was probably at 14, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this is brutal. Because Brock, if we would have come in 5 seconds earlier, we would have been like, oh, Brock's looking pretty good this game. And then, boom.
Yeah, those control magic cards are
especially
powerful sometimes.
Creatures, too.
Oh, yeah. Not too shabby. So Brock really has to find a way to deal with the whole board. Same situation he was in last game. And it's one thing Jeskai doesn't have. Tragic arrogance.
looks like somebody may have bumped our. Somebody may have tackled our stanchion that holds up the cameras, but it's recovering. No earthquake. It's been a fun Halloween here at the tournament. A lot of people dressed up as their favorite planeswalkers and
Yeah, Brock dressed
characters.
up like me.
Wait. I think he had the look before you.
Yeah.
Debatable.
Tomato, potato.
All right, so Brock is firing off a dig through time here.
Yeah, that's generally a bad place to be when you can't do it for 2 mana, don't have much mana available, and are facing
Yeah.
a lethal clock. And those are not good cards either. So this one is
You're
looks wrapped.
about ready to book this one.
Yeah, I don't see it.
So he still gets the plus Jace here, right?
Sure.
And then he takes 3, 4, 5,
Mhm.
going to the really scary 2, which
He's
means
not going to take quite that much damage. I mean, he'll find something that can block one way or another.
Oh,
but-
okay.
But it's still a lot. When your opponent is attacking you and not your Jace, things have gone probably pretty poorly.
See that he had a Manus Rider there, but that Swamp just sitting there, mocking him.
Yeah.
That one goes the other. Oh. All right, looks like his graveyard's just a little off screen here, so he does have things he can get back. I think it was a Crackling Doom. Jacob, of course, is going to sacrifice his own Manus Rider so he can get it back later with Cold God's Command. And so that Brock can't. Okay, so Brock's at 7. 4 power coming over. Does Jacob dispatch of Jace here and just get that thing off the table?
It's pretty likely.
If he doesn't have the kill here, he can switch priorities to killing Jace and getting in for damage.
Can't really see. He might have 4 points of burn in his hand, just doesn't have the mana. Might be a Kolaghan's Command that looked like a Crackling Doom. And if that's the case, well.
Yeah, he went in his head.
Yep.
Yikes.
Well, again, all these threats are lethal, and both cards in hand are lethal, so.
Tick-tock, Brock. Is there any sequence that gets Brock out of this?
No.
Because this deck's not great at gaining life, right?
He needs Manus Rider to die. He needs Jace to die. He needs at least one of the cards in Jacob's hand to die. So he's got to have that negate up. Or he would have to actually get rid of... No, just... Well, the Kolaghan's Command could just bring back another Mantis Rider, so... He has Crackling Doom, so blockers aren't going to get the job done. There just isn't
So
anything.
lethal threats on lethal threats here for Jacob Wilson,
Yeah.
who has whittled Brock down to 2. And I want to remind you that this is playing for day 2 for these guys. They're both at 6 and 2, so the loser of this is not going to get to come back and battle tomorrow, and the winner is.
Yeah, in theory, with 4 cards in hand, if he could go like Soulfire Grandmaster, Fiery Impulse, Fiery Impulse, Fiery Impulse, and gain a ton of life. But we know he had none of those cards in his hand.
Yeah, that's a tall order to be sure. Well, he's going to start it off with the Manus Rider.
Yeah. That'll get Crackling Doomed.
He has a negate in his hand as well as another Manus Rider. All right, so he's going to plus his Jace targeting Manus Rider, and presumably just leave his negate.
630 two-headed giant seal players. 630 2HG seal players.
May as well get in there.
Oh, yeah.
Posted at table 313.
Vigilance is a powerful ability.
Crackling Doom gets negated, and Jacob falls down to 7. But Brock is still at that very low life total, and he really doesn't have a lot to do here. He plays Bloodstained Mire and kind of flippantly passes the turn back, but he does have Mystic Monastery up as well, so Jacob will take note.
Yeah, he just says, I'm going to flash back my Crackling Doom, and that will kill you.
And then you are dead, and that's going to do it. Jacob Wilson, number 9 in the world, is going to advance And Brock Parker's going to have to find something else to do tomorrow. Maybe come back and do some side events or a little Super Sunday series. That's going to do it for round 9 here from Indianapolis. And welcome back